Till last lecture, we all had discussed about the pituitary gland, a master gland which has role in many function. Now, we will be talking about the next most important gland and which have a very great role into the development and the metabolism of a human. That's a thyroid gland. See, if we will talk about the thyroid gland, so thyroid gland, if a little bit disturbance is there, so the whole metabolism has been disrupted. Let us discuss about the thyroid gland. First, we will be talking about in general organization. Although we had discussed earlier, but is this in this lecture also I am going to include. Thereafter, we will be talking about the histology of the gland and functions of the gland. In short, we will be talking about the hormones of that thyroid gland in this particular part, and thereafter we will be conclude the session with the disorders of the thyroid gland. So let us start. We had already discussed about the general organization, in that we have learned that it is one of the largest endocrine gland in the body. Now, if you will observe this gland, so you will find that it is just clasping the trachea and larynx. Clasping means holding, as you hold the glass. So you can see that it just look like that it is clasping the throat region. So which region it clasps? It clasps on the trachea and the larynx region. Usually this gland is bilobed, and these two lobes of glands are connected with the narrow band of the tissue that is called as the isthmus. This gland is reddish brown in color, and if you will see the posterior side of the gland, it is also associated with the parathyroid gland. So just look like that parathyroid gland is embedded inside the thyroid gland. Now, when we talk about the overall histology, so the gland is having a capsule. This capsule is made up of the cylinder, dense, irregular, collagenous tissue. Framework of all this connective tissue means, see this capsule, these are a bit protruding inside, and it forms the stroma, including the capsule and intralobular loose areolar connective tissues are there, and this areolar cells along with the reticular tissue form the bed for whatever parenchyma cells and the blood vessels for the thyroid gland. When we talk about number of septa, so see, whenever this capsules, it is making the trabecular like structure, so it forms a septa-like structure, and it forms the connective tissue which divide gland into the numerous spheres. Like you can see here, lot many spheres are there. And exactly spheres are not there, but you can say this is a mass, irregular shape mass. It is also called as the follicle, or it may also be called as the acini. So each follicle is extremely large, means large, not that large. It is approximate 200 miometer in diameter. Even if you will observe it into the 10x, it is really very visible. Larger follicle, you will find it is present into the periphery, and the smaller follicles are present into the center of the thyroid gland. Now, these follicles are really very important. This follicle are structural and the functional unit of the thyroid gland. Now, these follicles will have two type of cells, and interestingly, these two type of the cells have the different origin and function. So, first and the main important follicular cell के बारे में बात करेंगे. So, these are the principal cells. It forms the major portion of the gland. This follicle cells, I told that both the cells are different in origin. So this follicular cell or the principal cells, they are derived from the thyroglossal duct. I repeat, the follicular cell of the thyroid gland, these are derived from the thyroglossal duct. Students, am I clearly audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, see, what is this thyroglossal duct? It is an outgrowth from the floor of the primitive pharynx. So, primitive pharynx, say, in short, we can say the origin is there for the follicular cell. And follicular cells, if you will observe clearly, so you can see these are stained quite dark. So, it have the oval nucleus. They will have the less number of the mitochondria, They have the basophilic cytoplasm with the numerous small vesicle containing the thyroglobulin. See, you have to remember about the follicular cells. It will have the oval nucleus, less number of the mitochondria, basophilic cytoplasm. Now see, whenever we are talking about the cytoplasm which are chromophilic, that means which accepts the color. So basically we mean that this cytoplasm or have certain type of the granules. So the granules are very special in the case of the thyroid follicular cells, and these granules are called as the thyroglobulin. Okay, so once again we will revise about the cells. The follicular cell or the principal cells, they have the oval nucleus, less number of the mitochondria, basophilic cytoplasm with numerous vesicle containing the thyroglobulin. Now this thyroglobulin is very very important, student. This thyroglobulin are the important vesicle. Actually, when we talk about such vesicle, no student, these are nothing but the modified the Golgi bodies, which have the special role into the secretion of various type of the you can say secretions. Here of course the secretion is the hormone. So this thyroglobulin, which is present into the follicular cell, will secrete most important hormone, that is the thyroid hormone. Now see, thyroid hormone, it is secreted in two form. Now we had already discussed about the hormone classification of the hormone. Yes, you all remember that we have discussed about the amino acid derived hormone, that these are the hormones which derive from the amino acid. So here this thyroid hormone are that category hormone, amino acid derived hormone. Now which amino acid? Tyrosine. That's why it is called as the triiodothyronine. Okay, this is derived from the tyrosine, as well as the iodine ion is really very important. Okay, so two things are required for the production of the hormone. One is the amino acid tyrosine, and other thing is the iodine. So this hormone, for the formation, it requires two principal precursor element, that is the iodine and the tyrosine. If these two things are there, that time this hormone will produce properly. So if these two things is reduced in the diet or in the body, automatically it is going to affect to the production of the thyroid hormone. So thyroid hormone, it is having two form. One is T3 form, another is the T4. T3 form is the active form, but T4 form is the storage form. T3 form is having, you can say, half life is small, so certain quantity is produced in the T4 form, which is later on convert into the T3 form. Actually, that much detail is not there in your TYBSC, but still you should know that this is the active form of the thyroid hormone, and that is required for the metabolism purpose. And later on, whatever T4 form has been produced, that is also converted into the T3 form at the time of the metabolic activity. Now, see, we will learn in detail about the hormone in the later slide. But right now, you should remember that this is one of the key hormone for the development, to regulate the development as well as the metabolism. Development time, if thyroid hormone is not appropriate in amount, so it will cause many developmental defect. Even if it is in the very low amount secreted, so that particular time it may seize the developing embryo, that means it may cause the abortion. Is that clear? So this is a very important hormone, and it's important really. It means, you can say, if a pregnant woman, if she will face the uh, hyposecretion of the thyroid hormone, so that time she will get lots many problem. That's why in many advertisement it has been shown that take the iodinated salt in the earlier time. Now so all the salts are almost iodinated, but in the earlier times there was a common salt which was not iodinated, and because of that small, see, we can simply take it into the soil. So, and because of taking that non-iodinated soil, people were getting all these problems, especially the pregnant woman. Now, this is all about the follicular cell or the principal cell of the thyroid hormone. Students, you remember I told you there are two type of the cell. So first is the this principal cell or the follicular cell, and next category of the cell is the parafollicular cell. Okay, parafollicular cells. This is also called as the clear cells, or you can say the C cells, because of just a minute. Yes, Haji. Just a minute. Student, sorry for interruption. Okay, so we were talking about the cells of thyroid gland. So first we had already discussed about the thyroid follicular cells. Now we will be talking about the parafollicular cell. Parafollicular cells, these are also called as the C cells because of their clear appearance. Now see, uh, earlier discussion we had already known that the thyroid gland, both the cells, follicular cell and parafollicular cells, both have the different origin. First, when we were talking about the thyroid gland, follicular cells, we have seen that these are derived from the thyroglossal duct, which is an outgrowth from the floor of the primitive pharynx. But when we talk about the parafollicular cells, they derive from the neural crest cells, and then neural crest cells fuses with the thyroid gland, and these neural crest cells, they form these parafollicular cells. And when we talk about the non-mammalian vertebrate, they remain together as the discrete organ. Means they form their, like follicle, they form their discrete organ, and this discrete organ develop from the ultimo bronchial body. Okay, and this is developed from the bronchial pouches. So it I'm talking about it into the non-mammalian animals. So these cells are really very important, and these cells are interspersed. Means when you can see the follicular cells, they are forming proper periphery of the thyroid follicle, but these are interspersed, and they are just formed as a spreaded, and that's why they are called as the parafollicular cells, because they do not form the see, this is the C cells. So these are the interspace, and they have this is also the C cells. So they are interspace. They are less in number as compared to the follicular cells. But if you will see their size now, they are larger than the follicular cells. They have the round nucleus, less number of the mitochondria, and the pale staining. Now, they also possess the granular cytoplasm, and their granules also secrete the hormone, and that hormone is known as the calcitonin. The other name for calcitonin is the thyrocalcitonin. Student, cells of thyroid glands are very important. So once again, we will revise about the cells. First, we have talked about the follicular cell, principal cells. In that, we have learned these are the cells having the oval nucleus, less number of the mitochondria, basophilic cytoplasm with numerous small vesicle, and their vesicle contains the thyroglobulin, and this thyroglobulin secretes the T3 and T4 hormone. And next we have talked about the parafollicular cell or the C cells. We have learned about them that they have the round nucleus. Earlier case we have learned the oval nucleus. Okay, follicular cell having the oval nucleus. Now here also my next statement or next property is same, that they possess the less number of the mitochondria. Now in the earlier case we have seen they have the basophilic cytoplasm with the small vesicle. Here also cytoplasm is there, with the granules, but they will be getting the pale staining. Is that clear? Now, their cytoplasm having the thyroglobulin which secretes the T3 and T4. Now, here cytoplasm granules will be secreting the hormone calcitonin, or which is also called as the thyrocalcitonin. Any doubt in histology? Shall we go ahead with the functions of the thyroid gland? Now see, we have seen that the thyroid gland, it produces two most important hormones. One one is the thyroxine in the form of the T3 and T4, and other hormone is the calcitonin. So one by one we will be talking about the both of the hormone. First is the thyroxine hormone, iodine containing proteinous hormone. Now see, I told you that two things are very much important for the production of the thyroid hormone. One is tyrosine. Now, tyrosine production is happening inside the body. Lots many amino acids are easily available in the body, but only we should check with the quantity of the iodine. So, and tyrosine, these are forming the thyroxine hormone. It is the proteinous hormone. Now, this is secreted by the thyroid gland function. When we talk about the thyroid gland hormone or thyroxine hormone, so when we talk about in case of the mammal, it increases the general metabolism and it helps in improving growth and development, as you can see on my screen. Now, when we talk about higher level, so if higher levels are there in the body, it is going to increase the body size, it is going to increase the number of mitochondria in the cells. Why mitochondria? Because this hormone is having the relation with the metabolism, and for the metabolism we require the energy, for energy we require the mitochondria. So this way you can remember. So if the thyroxine level increases in the body, so that particular time number of mitochondria in the cells will increase, and consequently there is going to be more and more energy production, and see, metabolic rate will be affected. That means that is going to be enhanced. Now, when we talk about thyroxine hormone, so it promotes the protein synthesis till the growth is resumed. Okay, so this is one of the most important hormone. We know that we require for when we eat protein, we are getting the protein. Yes, but for that synthesis, for production of that, you require the thyroid hormone stimulation. Then only our body is going to increase that protein, because whatever protein you are eating from the diet, after that digestion, that is going to convert into the amino acid, and body is going to pick up all those amino acid for the synthesis of the protein. So if you want that the synthesis of the protein is to be resumed normal, you should have appropriate quantity of the thyroid hormone in your body. It increases the carbohydrate metabolism as well. Is that clear? So overall we can say for good metabolism or good digestion, this hormone is really very important. It increases the rate and depth of respiration. It promotes the galactopoiesis. Note down the term galactopoiesis, student. Galactopoiesis means maintenance of the lactation once it is established. Suppose if the parturition has happened in the case of mammal, so their mammary gland prepared for the lactation, that is the milking. Okay, so lactation established immediately after the birth, and it continues for depends on animal to animal. In case of the human, it continues till the baby sucks the gland. So see, it is, if only baby is sucking, it is insufficient. Now we have learned that the hormone prolactin is responsible for the production of the milk. Hormone oxytocin is also important, but for the process, galactopoiesis, that is maintenance of the lactation, thyroid also play a very important role. Is that clear? And see, if milk is declining in the case of women, so that particular time this can restore the declining milk flow into the woman. So it is one of the most important hormone which supports the lactation. Directly it is not involved into the lactation, or you cannot say it cannot start up the lactation, but once the lactation has been established, it helps to maintain that lactation level. Then hyposecretion in case of the children, it causes the cretinism, and if it happens in the case of the adults, so maxedema disease can happen. That disease or disorders we will discuss into the next slide, but now you should remember that hyposecretion will cause the cretinism and maxedema. In case of the hypersecretion, there is a exophthalmic goiter. Okay, so disorder we will discuss into the next slide. So what we have learned about the thyroxine hormone, that increases the general metabolism, it improves the growth. Next, we have seen that it increases the size and number of mitochondria in the cells. So ultimately, what is going to happen? Energy will enhance, and it is going to enhance the BMR, that is basal metabolic rate. When we talk about the next function, it promotes the protein synthesis. Then it increases the carbohydrate metabolism. It increases rate and depth of the respiration. It promotes the galactopoiesis, and it helps to restore the declining milk flow in the woman. Its hyposecretion in the children causes cretinism. Its hyposecretion in adult will cause the maxedema. Hyperactivity is also very much dangerous. It is going to cause exophthalmic goiter. So this is all about the hormone thyroxine. Next hormone which are secreted by the C cell or parafollicular cells, it is the thyrocalcitonin. So see, this is a hypocalcemic hormone. It is secreted by the parafollicular cell of thyroid gland. The important thing about this hormone, that this is a polypeptide hormone. The earlier hormone we have seen is the proteinous hormone. This is the peptide hormone. It is made up of the 32 amino acid. Now I told you meaning of the polypeptide. The amino acid chain which is less than 50 amino acid, it is called as the polypeptide chain. Now see, this hormone for the production not required the iodine. Okay, and this is not amine hormone also. When we talk about the thyrocalcitonin, so this is really very important hormone, and it acts on the bone. It causes the inhibition of the bone reabsorption. Student, note down the term bone reabsorption. Have you noted the term bone reabsorption? Now write down the meaning of it. Bone reabsorption is a process in which the bones, it is causing absorption of the calcium ion, usually in the excess case. Reabsorption means whenever there is deficiency of calcium in the blood, so bone returns reabsorption. Okay, so it returns the calcium to the blood. So it causes the inhibition of the bone reabsorption. So bone reabsorption will not happen. That means bone will not do the leaching of the calcium, and ultimately it is going to decrease the blood calcium ion concentration. Now see, when it is going to produce in the hypercalcemia situation. Now next we will be talking about the parathyroid gland. That time students, you will be more clear that whenever there is less quantity of the calcium in the blood, so calcium play a very key important role in various developmental activity. When we will learn the various metabolic activity, various developmental activities, so that time you will find that the calcium is precursor, or you can say the cofactor for many enzyme, and it is required for lots many metabolic reactions. So if the calcium is not there, so body will not be able to do many functions. So what happens whenever there is a less quantity of the calcium, bone is considered as the storage of the calcium. So bone reabsorption happens, where the calcium is leaches from the bone and it restores inside the blood. So that happens. But this hormone, that is the calcitonin hormone, it causes the inhibition of the bone reabsorption, but it will not be produced every time. It is going to produce only and only in the case of the hypercalcemia. आपने कैल्शियम का टैबलेट्स ले लिया, you had lots of milk, तो ये क्या करेंगे, that is going to store that calcium inside the bone. Okay, and that calcium will be a storage and it can be utilized. You might have observed that the people, those who are healthy, those who are eating lots of calcium rich diet, like you can say they have milk, they have the non-veg and all, so you will find they have the higher level of the calcium, and when you will weigh them, so they will look slim, but their body weight will be extremely high. And sometimes very fat people, they have the body weight very much less. So it happens because their bones are heavy and their bones have a very good storage of the calcium. So this is a very important hormone, and it secretes in response to induce the hypercalcemia. Its rate of secretion will definitely vary with the degree of the elevation in the serum calcium. So whatever serum calcium is available at that particular time, it is going to produce. Thyrocalcitonin is very much useful in control of the hypercalcemia. Now we will talk about the disorder of the thyroid gland. We will just once revise the important role once again about the thyrocalcitonin, because it is really very important. So thyrocalcitonin, it is a very important hormone and it acts on the bone. It causes inhibition of the bone reabsorption and it decreases the blood calcium ion concentration. It's secreted in response to the induced hypercalcemia. Its rate of secretion will definitely vary with the degree of the elevation into the serum calcium. And thyrocalcitonin is a very useful in control of the hypercalcemia. So if your this calcitonin hormone is properly working, so never ever you will have the hypercalcemia. Hypercalcemia is also very much problematic, and this extra calcium deposited into the kidneys, and it can form the kidney stone. And others, sometimes it gets stuck into the gallbladder as well, and it produces the stone. So it is really very important, and it checks that the body calcium level will always be in control. Now, next we will be talking about the disorder of the thyroid gland. We had discussed that there are three disorders which are related to the thyroid gland. First is the cretinism and myxedema, which is related to the thyroxine hormone. Cretinism is the disorder which causes into the babies, or you can say the young children, and myxedema, it's related to the adult. And exophthalmic goiter, it is the hypersecretion. So first two is the hypo and second is the hypersecretion of the thyroid hormone, that is the thyroxine. So first we will be talking about the cretinism. It is developed into the children due to the hypothyroidism. The children suffering by the cretinism, they are called as the cretin. What they are called as cretin. Now, when it happens in the developing children, so developing means the young babies. So that deficiency will delay holding up their head. You will observe that the babies start holding their head in 3 to 4 months only. But if their hypothyroidism is there, so definitely these babies will not be able to hold their head. And not only that, their all developmental stages like dentition, that is the teething process, their sitting will delay, their standing will delay, their walking will delay, and even their talking will delay. Each and everything will be delayed, or you can say See, when you will study about the developmental stages of the baby, so each and every month they must get some milestone, developmental milestone. Like 4 months, they should hold their neck. 7 to 8 months, at least they should start sitting. Then they should start crawling. So every month, up to 1 year, they must walk. Okay, 1 year or 18 months. So if the baby is facing the hypothyroidism, all the stages will delay ultimately. And other developmental things like dentition and other development, uh, mental development, everything will be affected. So if you will observe their height, so their height is short due to the stunted growth, and their teeth and bones will be deformed. Now, when we talk about their abdominal viscera, so it is students. We can stop for some time. Student, I took a pause for Azan. Okay, let us continue. So we have seen that this creatine people, they will having the retarded development. They will be short in height due to stunted growth. Their teeth and bones are deformed. Then when we talk about their abdominal viscera, so that is going to be relatively large and they will be having a pot belly appearance. When we observe their skin, so skin will be rough, like old people wrinkle type skin will be there, and their skin will be thickened as compared to the normal skin, and the skin will be very much dry. When we observe them, so they have the protruding tongue, and not only that, they will be having dribbling saliva. So because of that, they have bit idiotic look. They will have the lowered BMR because thyroxine hormone is all about related to the metabolism. So as metabolism will be affected, so they will be having the lowered BMR, and they will reduce the appetite. क्या करेंगे energy का if BMR is only low? And not only that, they will have a constant constipation problem. They will be having low sugar and iodine in the blood and high level of the cholesterol. They will be having the retarded mental growth. They will be sexually immature, and they will be having the retarded sexual character, secondary sexual character. Now usually these creatines are deaf and dumb, and they are susceptible to cold. So this is all about the cretinism. Next we will be talking about the maxedema. This is the same problem, hypothyroidism, but into the adult. So this disease is more frequent in female, Recessive genes are responsible for development of this disease. My eczema is characterized by swollen face. They will be having the puffiness around the eye. Now, why? Because of the low metabolic activity, and mental dullness will be there. They will get loss of memory, slowness into the thoughts, speech as well as action. They will be having low BMR, means that BMR will be just hardly 60%. If you will compare the normal 100% will not be there, 30 to 40% less than the normal people. So you can say only 60% BMR will be observed in them. They will get loss of appetite. They will be having lowered the motility of the gastrointestinal tract, and because of that they will be having constipation. They will be having reduced cardiovascular activity. They will be having lowered blood temperature, and they are also very much susceptible to cold. When we talk about their sugar metabolism, so in them also blood sugar and iodine level will be very much less. Their skin will also be very much dry, and their nails will be very much brittle, and hair tends to fall. Even in case of this also, children also, you will find scanty hair. In case of female, they will be getting amenorrhea, that is the absence of the menstrual cycle. And in case of male, you will find impotency. Impotency means the erection of the penis, so it will not happen, and they will fail to perform the sexual act. Now, just a minute. Exophthalmic goiter. See, this is also called as the Graves' disease because it was discovered by the Robert Grave. It is an autoimmune disorder. Now, autoimmune disorder means it is product of, now. See, in the previous term we have learned about the immunity, and that we have re- discussed about the autoimmunity. Autoimmunity means the body immune system consider body cell as the non-self, and it react in a way which affects the activity of the other function. So this is also an example of the autoimmune disorder. It is caused because of the overproduction of the thyroid hormone, means again and again unnecessary thyroid gland has been stimulated to produce more and more hormone. This disease affect many part of the body, like eyes, skin, hair, nail, lung, muscle, bone, digestive system, nervous system, reproductive system, almost all part is been touched. Graves' disease, also called as the exophthalmic goiter, because it is characterized by the enlargement of the thyroid gland and protrusion of the eye. So that's why it is also called as the exophthalmic goiter. Now, see what would be the symptom. First of all, enlarged thyroid gland, protruded eyeball. Now, why eyeballs are so protruded? Because of the deposition of the fat into the ocular region, will be pushing the eyeball forward. They will have the less twinkling of the eyelid. Their eyes will be wide open type, and they will be having the increase. See, earlier case, hypovolic case, may we have learned the lowered metabolic rate. So here, increased BMR. Now, in the previous case, both the cases we all have seen, they are susceptible to cold. But in this case, because of more and more BMR, they will be having lots of heat in the body. So their body temperature will always be elevated. They will have the increased appetite. It does not mean that they are having increased appetite, so they will be fat and all. No, they will be very slim in body. They will lose their body weight because whatever they are eating, that is going to be digested very fast. Now, in the earlier case, we have seen that they are having the very dry and wrinkle type of skin. But in this case, they will always have the moist and salty skin because of the excessive sweat. Here, in the earlier case, we have seen the blood glucose level was down. Here, it is going to be high. Even their heart rate will also increase because of the high metabolic activity. More oxidation of the food will happen. because they are doing over BMR is there, so that means lots of food is required for the production of the energy. Increased respiration, excessive sweating with more thirst and development of the cretinuria. Cretinuria means secretion of excess creatine hormone, creatine into the urine. Then development of the osteoporosis because lots of calcium will be leached from the bone, means the bone reabsorption will be high, and not only calcium but their bone will also start doing reabsorption of the phosphorus. So because of that, their bone calcium and phosphorus quantity will be decline, and they are going to develop the osteoporosis. And mentally also they will be very much emotional and restless. So this is all about the thyroid gland. Student, next lecture we all will be talking about the parathyroid gland. So for this note we can stop for now. Student, any doubts? Yes, if you have any doubt, please ask me right now.